All right. Welcome in. Happy Saturday. The weekend slate starts today, not tomorrow. So pretty straightforward. Talking shop. Start sit help for the fantasy semifinals. The penultimate week in fantasy football for the vast majority of leagues. We'll get right into it because there are games. There is a game in about 3 hours from now. The Eagles will take on the Commanders at 5 East. And then the NFC North rivalry, Packers-Bears at 8:20 East. So 2 games tonight with plenty, I'm sure, fantasy implications. Taking your questions ahead of not just those games, but the slate tomorrow in general. We'll go over the injuries, the latest injury updates that we have. And then we'll take a look at lineups and see what makes the most sense for your semi-final matchup. Let's kick things off. Let's get right into it with the injuries. Waste no time. Michael Carter will start, or, updates as well. It's injury related. Bam Knight is out. Trey Benson is not playing the rest of this year. Michael Carter will start at running back for the Arizona Cardinals against the Atlanta Falcons in Week 16. Carter has very interesting, RB2 appeal in this matchup, assuming he gets the bulk of opportunities. So if you did grab Michael Carter and you don't have clear-cut options at running back, he may be in your starting lineup. T. Higgins is still in concussion protocol. He practiced in full on Friday. I think he practiced limited on Thursday. He is questionable for Week 16. It would not surprise me to see this go either way. Higgins could be cleared to play, or the team could ultimately step in and decide, they're not playing for anything at this point. Cincinnati is eliminated from the playoffs. They could decide as a team to hold the player out, just to preserve his health. Higgins has had multiple concussions this year. But if he wants to play, maybe they let him play. So I would say Higgins is a true 50-50. Tet McMillan is off the injury report. He will go for the Carolina Panthers in Week 16 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Wide receiver 3. A rare wide receiver 3 with wide receiver 1 upside. He certainly can deliver a big performance for you, but it's volatile with the Panthers and their passing volume. They run the ball a lot, and Bryce Young is still very up and down. Tet probably needs to be in lineups as a wide receiver 3, but he carries some decent risk. David Njoku, Dylan Sampson, both ruled out for the Cleveland Browns. Harold Fannin is going to once again get all the work that he can handle as the starting tight end. He's the starting tight end even when Njoku is healthy. With Njoku out, Fannin he's been dominating targets since Shador entered the starting lineup. I imagine that will continue tomorrow, even though it is a tough matchup. Buffalo does not give up a lot of production on the season to opposing tight ends. Drake London will play Week 16 for the Atlanta Falcons. For what it's worth, Kyle Pitts was also on the injury report. He has been removed. He will go, coming off of his career night last Thursday in Week 15. We'll see what shakes out there. It wouldn't surprise me to see London play partial snaps and not a full complement of snaps. Just, coming off a 3-game absence, the team is out of it. If he wants to play and is healthy, then by all means he has, it's within his right to play, even though it's a meaningless game as far as the standings go. But we'll see how much he plays. It could impact Kyle Pitts. I'm still firing him up as a tight end 1 option this week. Probably is, still has to be considered a top 6 play on the week, just based on the back of what he did last week and anticipation that London may not play a full complement of snaps. Alvin Kamara is ruled out for Week 16. It would be surprised to see him again this year. Kamara can officially be dropped if he is still on your roster. It'll probably be for the rest of the way Audric Estime and Evan Hull. Estime being the one that is expected to start at running back for the Saints in a great matchup against the Jets. K. Otton's off the injury report. Okay. Marvin Harrison says he is quote unquote good enough to go in week 16. This is like the absolute last thing you want to hear if you have Michael Wilson. Marv is expected to play, make his return after, I think it was a 2-game absence from a heel injury. He had missed multiple other games earlier this year that has allowed Michael Wilson to be unlocked and unleashed. Probably need to temper expectations for Michael Wilson with Marv back in the lineup. That being said, this matchup is so good, I don't think you could take Michael Wilson out of your lineup. In fact, depending on your other options, Marv himself is a viable play, just how good the matchup is and with the amount of volume Arizona throws the football. I would rank Michael Wilson ahead of Marvin Harrison this week. So if you can only play one and have both, I would prefer Wilson. He's the hot hand right now. We have no choice in that scenario. But Marv is a viable flex wide receiver option just because of how good the matchup is and with how frequently the Cardinals throw the football. Quentin Johnston is questionable for Week 16. He has completely fallen off the fantasy radar. Hopefully you have alternate options. Rashee Rice is ruled out for Week 16. No surprise there. He was put in concussion protocol on Wednesday, and that pretty much probably ends potentially his season with the Chiefs mathematically eliminated from the playoff race and Patrick Mahomes out for the year. If Rice has concussion symptoms, why even bother? He will not play. Marquise Brown is a viable wide receiver 4 with upside to make a big play. It's obviously a big downgrade going from Mahomes to Gardner Minshew, but Minshew is a viable backup quarterback in the NFL. And, generally speaking, backup quarterbacks will pepper their top targets. So that could mean a lot of looks for Kelsey. But with Rice out, that opens the door for Marquise Brown, who was good, who was solid in Rice's absence at the beginning of the season, to reemerge as a flex option this week. Rashad Bateman's off the injury report. Okay. TJ Watt, he had that scare with the collapsed lung a couple of weeks ago. He is out for Week 16, so the Lions, you were already starting all of your Lions, but I guess you feel a little bit better about the matchup without him. Geno Smith will start Week 16. Good luck, Raiders, against the Houston Texans. You have to start Brock Bowers. Honestly, that's it. You could even bench Ashton Jinty if you have viable alternate options. That's how bad the matchup is. Let's see. Woody Marks, Nick Chubb, both listed questionable for Week 16. Whoever starts for Houston at running back is a great option in a beautiful matchup against Vegas. If it's Woody, you play him. If it's Chubb and you have Woody and Woody is out, Chubb is a viable fill-in. And then Jawar Jordan is the guy they signed off the practice squad, I think, a couple of weeks ago. So he could be involved, but he doesn't have a track record to really give any type of valid prediction until we know definitively who is in and who's out. And in tonight's game, Bears-Packers, DeAndre Swift is expected to play. So you can fire Swift up in a good matchup. It's a better matchup now anyway with no Micah Parsons for Green Bay. And around this time yesterday, Davante Adams was confirmed he is unlikely to play for the Rams in Week 17. So, it's probably worth holding until the last minute. But if Davante Adams does not play Week 17, he is a drop. I wouldn't drop him yet. Well, of course, talking about redraft leagues, not talking about keeper or dynasty formats. But if Adams can't play in Week 17, don't drop him yet. But he would be a drop going into the week if he gets ruled out in advance. And I think that is everything as far as the latest injury updates that we have going into Week 16. Let's get into it. Taking your questions. But But let me first do my spiel. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you are here for the first time, welcome in. Hopefully you find this enjoyable. Hopefully you find this helpful. As far as my cadence and order for answering questions, members will get first priority as far as questions responded to, questions answered, comments responded to. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. You can find more details about becoming a member in the first link in the description of this live stream and all videos and streams on the channel. It does not matter when a member submits a question. I will get to them first. Again, that's the perk. If you're feeling generous enough this holiday season to send a super, that would also be a way to jump the line and get your question answered in priority order. Members and supers may also get a little bit more out of me as far as my thoughts, my analysis of your situation, if I feel like the question warrants it. If you are not a member and you do not send a super, I will answer your question, but I do ask for some patience as I work through member and super questions first. Regardless of whether you are a member or not, if you're enjoying the conversation, if you could just like the stream, that helps me out for algorithm purposes. Appreciate that in advance. I see Greg and I see Manny, and I just saw Jake drop in. What's going on, guys? Appreciate the support. Let's get into the member situations first. I did not, Greg, anticipate Matthew Stafford throwing for 450 yards without Davante Adams on Thursday Night Football. That game was bonkers. That game was nuts. Stafford went crazy. Without Davante Adams, I did not like that spot. Seattle has a good defense. Yes, Matthew Stafford has had a great season, but I figured the touchdowns may not necessarily be there without Adams. Turns out Puka Nakua's a sicko. You know, they've got a lot of the running backs were catching the ball on dump-offs a lot more than they typically do for the Rams. And then, of course, the tight ends not named Colby Parkinson all played well. So Stafford had a huge night. I still think there are other quarterbacks that'll provide perfectly fine plays. But, yeah, that one was unexpected. Let's see. So, yeah, Nico's a must start. And then, who are our options? Michael Wilson. Yeah, I'm playing Michael Wilson. Wide receiver 2, running back 2, and a flex. Of these options, I'm playing Michael Wilson. I know Marvin Harrison is back, but the matchup is great. And Wilson's on a heater. I can't pivot away from him. I'm going to him. And even if Marv does take targets, Arizona can't run the ball. They may have more success this week in a good matchup. The Falcons' defense stinks. But I would still fire up Michael Wilson. Your running back is Woody. Yeah, it's Woody if he plays. And if he's out, I guess I may actually go Michael Carter. If Woody is out over Aaron Jones, just because it's a great it's a great matchup. And then your flex, I mean, honestly, you could play those running backs. You could just play all of the running backs if you'd want. I would say Aaron Jones is probably the floor play, and DJ Moore is the upside play, depending on what you need. I think that's what I would do. I would go Michael Wilson as your wide receiver, and then I would probably plan to play Woody and Michael Carter, and if Woody is out, I'll go Michael Carter and Aaron Jones. Unless you need to be aggressive and swing for the fences, then I would play DJ Moore instead of Aaron Jones. So just stay fluid and be ready to make pivots if Woody is out. And Manny, you let me know if you need anything. Jake, what's going on? 6-point passing touchdowns, Burrow or Purdy? If you're leaning Joe, I think I lean Joe as well. It is, Purdy had a nice game last week, and it's a solid enough matchup on the road in prime time. If T. Higgins plays, that definitively confirms it for me for Burrow to play Burrow. Even if Higgins doesn't play, it's a good matchup. Burrow's a prideful guy. I don't think him being eliminated from the playoffs is going to stop him from going out and trying to have his best game, his best performance. He can still throw the ball to Jamar Chase. I think I'm okay with Burrow over Purdy. I think Purdy is a perfectly fine play, but if I have Burrow, I guess that's just where I'll go. That's just what I'll plan to do. And then as far as London versus Harvey, I don't know that London is necessarily a must start. Jacksonville has a good defense, but at home, RJ Harvey dominating touches, I actually do think that's who I would play. If it's full PPR, London has a little bit more of an argument, but again, he may not play a full complement of snaps. I know London is great and has wide receiver 1 upside when he's out there, but we're talking about a situation where he's coming back from a 3-game absence and the Falcons are out of it. They may play him a full complement of snaps, but it would not be surprising to see him play more of a, like 60 to 75% of the snaps. I think I would play Harvey over him. I think I would. Kevin, what's going on? Good to see you. Rico or Pollard? I'll play Rico. Pollard has come on strong recently. And, while this is not a great matchup against the Chiefs on paper, we might be talking about a completely different Chiefs team who is out of the playoff race and doesn't have Mahomes. Rico's playing for something. The Panthers are playing to win the NFC South. And when it comes down to it, I prefer guys in situations that matter over guys in situations that don't matter. On one hand, okay, maybe Pollard plays free, plays with no, there's no pressure. There's nothing to, we're out of the playoffs. I'm just playing to play. Like, sure, fine. That might be okay. But I lean the guy, and I know he's splitting work with Chuba, but Rico has had a overall good season, and the Panthers are playing for something. And it's a good matchup. Tampa's run defense is not as good as they have been in years prior. So I'll take Rico. And then as far as Waller versus Jawan, I worry about Waller with the rookie. Waller was looking like a great option to end the season, but I guess we were kind of banking on Tua being the starting quarterback for that. Quinn Ewers, maybe he's solid, but he's a 7th-round rookie making his first career start. I know the Bengals' defense stinks, but they stink against regular starting NFL quarterbacks. They are probably in a good spot tomorrow, actually, against a rookie making his first career start. There's no better roll of the dice when you're talking about, like, which defense do you think is going to play well any given week than a defense who's getting a rookie quarterback making his first career start. That doesn't bode well for the Dolphins' offense. I'll take Jawan and the consolidated target share that the Saints offense has that is just funneling opportunities to Chris Olave and Jawan. And Tyler Shuck has looked pretty good and is not making his first career start. I'll take Jawan over Waller. Take Jawan over Waller. Evan, what's going on? Oh, God, you are going against Stafford Puka. I am sorry, my friend. That is a mountain to climb. Again, I said the same thing to Greg and anybody who, is staring down either not playing Stafford or even worse, having gone against him. I was not expecting Stafford to throw for 400, and I know the game went to overtime, but 450 passing yards without Devontae Adams. And our favorite stream, everybody's favorite stream of the week, I liked Parkinson as well, but with him doing nothing and the other tight end stepping up, and the running backs catching way more passes than they typically do, I did not see that Stafford performance coming. Puka, okay, fine. He's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. A 200-yard week does not happen very often, but at least with Puka, it's like, all right, Yeah, I could see him going off for 40 any given week. Stafford without Adams on the road on a short week against a good defense, didn't see that one coming. I would be hard pressed to find anybody who was pounding the table saying, start Stafford in that situation, or expect a good game or a great game from him. That's just, yeah. That one came out of nowhere. It was a great game objectively, but if you went against the Rams, you're probably not feeling that way. That's a bad beat. That's a bad break in the fantasy semifinals. Hopefully you can have. It's not over yet. Hopefully you can have some monster performances to counter it. But that's what we need. We need some players to have some big performances. Jake, Fannin or Loveland? I like both of these guys. I like both of these options. Fannin is probably where I go, but honestly, if you feel like you need some upside, and Jake, maybe you do, if you feel like you're an underdog, I might go Loveland. Better quarterback play. Here's the thing. If Fannin versus Loveland, and I wouldn't be surprised if I get a few questions like this today. Fannin has been better over the course of the season, and Shedeur Sanders is funneling targets to him. The problem is Shedeur and the Browns' offense in general, and especially their offensive line, are in bad shape. The offensive line is playing horrendously right now. The whole right side of the line is injured. They just put their starting right tackle on IR. It's rough sledding for the Browns' offense right now in general. On top of that, the Bills are a stingy defense specifically against tight ends. So while I think Fannin is fine for volume today, if you need to play aggressive and swing for the fences, you may not be content with shooting, going for the floor play. Fannin is the high floor. Loveland, I think, is the high ceiling. Better quarterback play, no Rome Odunze, no Luther Burden. Revenge game for the Bears at home against the Packers, who they just lost to a couple of weeks ago, and the Packers don't have Micah Parsons. I think Loveland is your aggressive upside play. I'm not going to suggest Loveland over Fannin for everybody, depending on the scenario, but in this situation, I think I am. I would go upside. You called yourself an underdog. Play aggressively. I would play Loveland over Fannin. I like them both today, but I would say Loveland is more of the shoot for the upside play, whereas Fannin is more of like a volume floor guy. I think in your scenario, Jake, I would go Loveland. If you're, and I'll just, I guess, say for anybody, if you're like Fannin or Loveland or Fannin or, to me, it's like Fannin is the floor play. So if you feel like you're in a good spot, if you feel like you like your team on paper, your situation on paper, you feel like you're a favorite, Fannin is probably a solid play to give you that floor that you're looking for. But if you're an underdog and you're like, I need to swing for the fences, and if this guy gets me only 2 or 3 points, I may not win. I might not be within 20 points of my opponent anyway. I'll just shoot for the fences, and like a 10-point play from Fannin doesn't help me. I need to go for 15, 17, 18. Who's got a better likelihood of a 2-touchdown performance? I would say Loveland over Fannin. Is it going to happen? I'm not predicting that. I'm just saying, if I had to bet what's more likely, Fannin would be the floor play with volume in a bad matchup. Somebody like Loveland could go off in a good matchup, even though he might look more volatile on paper. Yeah, see, exactly. You saw going into that game, if you saw your opponent play Stafford, you're thinking to yourself, all right, on the road, short week, tough defense, no Adams, go ahead, fine, start him. And then, of course, he went nuclear. What are you going to do? What's going on, Fortune? Good to see you, man. Feelings on Monangai? Flex play. He's a flex play. With some upside, just because the Bears are hurting on offense in general. They could be and I know we're talking about apples to oranges, running backs and wide receivers, but no Rome Odunze, no Luther Burden. They're going to need guys to step up in other ways. I mean, that could mean leaning into the run a little bit more. And Swift is expected to play, but he is on the injury report. So, and Monangai has forced a committee already anyway. So, yeah, he's on the flex radar. He's on the flex radar if you need him. Wan'Dale, I do think eventually, it hasn't happened yet, but the other shoe is eventually going to drop, and Amarian Hampton's role and usage is going to go up. He missed, obviously, a ton of time, Hampton, but he's now played 2 games. He's played, I think, at least a third of the snaps in both of them, or he might have been just under that in his first game back and maybe closer to 35% in his second game back. But when he's been out there, he's been getting the ball. The Chargers are in the race for the AFC West, and I think if they lose, they're cooked. Or they're about as cooked as can be. So they need to stay in it. This is a great matchup on paper. I would think, Hampton, again, for their first-round pick this year, his role is going to continue to increase as he gets healthy and, weeks removed from the injury, and they start to ramp him up, and the games become more must-win, more crunch time. I think that's the situation for the Chargers this week. So, it wouldn't surprise me to see Wan'Dale stay involved, but I don't know that role is increasing. If anything, it could go down. But the matchup is so good against Dallas, and I know their run defense has been better since they brought in Quinnen Williams, but it's still a good matchup on paper, and the Chargers are an offense where, yes, their offensive line is banged up, but you trust them because they have Justin Herbert. So, Wan'Dale's a viable replacement if Higgins can't go, but I actually think I like Monangai more if you need to decide, before the Bears game tonight. Yeah. So, yeah, I feel fine about Monangai. I don't feel as fine about Wan'Dale. I do think Hampton's role is going to go up as soon as tomorrow. But Wan'Dale is a viable option if you are holding out on T. Higgins and he can't play, because at least the matchup is good. Evan, okay, so you're down. Yeah, I mean, we need to dig a little bit. I mean, look, there's always I know it feels bleak, and realistically, the odds are probably not great, but nothing has happened yet outside of one game. So, I mean, crazy shit happens in the NFL. We see it every week. You're rooting for big performances. There's no way around it. You're rooting for it every week, but this week you need it. If you went against Stafford Puka, I mean, you just swing for the fences in as many areas as you can. Go for the upside play. Shoot for the moon. Like, I would play, if that's a one quarterback situation, Evan, I would play Dart over Lamar, which I know sounds crazy, but Dart, I think, is the more upside play. He's running more than Lamar this year. Swing for the fences. You play Travion Henderson without a shadow of a doubt. He can make big plays left and right. He may leave you left wanting more, but he's explosive. And then we'll see what happens. It is super flex. Okay, 6. So you can at least play both of those guys and just hope that they both go bonkers. Yeah, I mean, never say never. Obviously, it's not super ideal, but there's a lot of football left to be played. So we'll see what happens. All right. I don't see any other member questions at the moment. I will keep an eye out, but for now I can go back up to the top of the chat. Let's see. Pick 2, non-PPR. Hampton, Woody Marks, Emmanuel Wilson, Estime Tracy. Woody if he plays. Luckily, none of these. Well, Emmanuel Wilson could go tonight if Josh Jacobs is out. I don't know that I want to play Emmanuel Wilson though. Just with if Jacobs doesn't play, obviously Emmanuel Wilson becomes a little bit more intriguing. But I want to play my best players in a win-or-go-home situation. And Emmanuel Wilson, just from this list, is not one of your best players, even if Jacobs is out. I would play Woody Marks if he plays. So your situation, you can wait until tomorrow. because I wouldn't play Wilson. I would not play Wilson tonight, given these names, if Jacobs is out. If you choose to play Wilson, that is your own choice, which you are obviously entitled to, but I wouldn't do it. I would play Woody Marks if he plays. And I might go, the Giants get the Vikings. That's a tough matchup. That being said, Tracy popped last week. I would play Woody and Tracy if Woody is active. If Woody is inactive, I would go Tracy and Hampton. That is what I would do. Yep. Woody and Tracy. Tracy and Hampton if Woody sits. Let's see. In the semifinals right now. Okay. Well, JSN and Kyron got you off to a solid start. Herbert or Purdy? Purdy's been good, but Herbert's playing the Cowboys. Herbert. Yeah, Herbert. Purdy's been playing well, but it's the matchup. Herbert's had a good season as well, and it's the Cowboys. It's the best matchup you can ask for. I would go Herbert. I would go Herbert. And then between Rodriguez, Michael Carter, and Chuba, Carter, he's going to start in a great matchup. Chris Rodriguez has had a solid season with the opportunities that he's gotten, but it's not as great of a matchup against Philly. And Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt had a nice week last week without Rodriguez. I don't know that Rodriguez will be involved, but I got to imagine Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt did enough for Washington to say to themselves, you know what, we should give this kid some looks and see what we got going into next year. And they can do the same with Rodriguez. It's not like he's old. But, they traded Brian Robinson seemingly at the beginning of the season because they felt good about what Krosky-Merritt could give them this year. That backfired. But that doesn't mean that they can't still give him an extended look and see what they are working with going into 2026. So, Rodriguez could be splitting opportunities. Carter's expected to start. So I'll take Carter in a great matchup against Atlanta. And then Ferguson versus Loveland. Yeah, so I think my spiel about Hannon versus Loveland applies to this question. The safe play is Ferguson. He's been kind of blah with CD and Pickens both healthy. He's been kind of blah, but the floor has still been there. Loveland, on the other hand, he's the upside play. And his floor might be decent as well with no Rome Odunze and no Luther Burden and no Micah Parsons for the Packers. I think the situation sets up well for Loveland today. Boring floor play would be Ferguson. You can hope for 6 or 7 or 8 points. Loveland, he might get you 4, but he could get you 12 or 13 if things go his way. So Loveland is the upside play. Of course, Amon Ra can go for 40 any given week, but it's a tall task. You're hoping for 20, and then anything else is gravy. No, Greg. I would probably Jones out, Carter in. They're both in good matchups, but I think I trust the Cardinals' offense in general to move the ball than the Vikings. So I would say Carter out, Jones in if you need the ceiling of DJ Moore. But everything else is correct. Everything else you have correct. E111, what's going on? Thanks for popping in. Burrow, Henry, Harvey, Brown, J-Mo, McBride, Taylor. Nice. Saints, Fairbairn. Yeah, I have the same situation in a keeper league where I have the Saints defense and Fairbairn, and I feel good about that. Man, I might play Jacoby Brissett over Joe Burrow, especially because you have Trey McBride. I think I would stack it up, and I think I would play I would play Jacoby over Burrow. It's a great matchup. The Cardinals are throwing it 50 to 55, upwards of 60 times a game. McBride is tight end 1. You can stack and double up on points, so to speak, by playing Jacoby and anything he throws to Trey McBride. I would play, and I know you could say the same thing about Goff and J-Mo, but I think Jacoby and McBride is a stronger stack. You had to go against Puka and JSN. Holy hell. Okay. Yeah, I would play Jacoby. I would play Jacoby over Burrow. I would. That's because and double up on anything he does that he does throwing the ball to McBride. I would. Everything else is fine, but I would play Brissett over Burrow. I might play Brissett over Burrow even if you didn't have Trey McBride, but because you do have Trey McBride, it's more of a definitive call for me. I feel even more confident in telling you play Jacoby Brissett. And yes, Greg, Carter over Jones if Woody plays. Yeah. I think Carter over Jones no matter what. And then if Woody is out and you feel like you can just play it safe, then I would play Aaron Jones over DJ Moore. So yeah, you got it. We have our marching orders. Okay, back to where I left off. Metcalf or Olave. Olave gets the Jets. That's pretty tasty. Or Metcalf, who has been good himself against the Lions. I mean, I would love to play both of these guys, to be completely honest, but I'll take the target share that Olave is getting over Metcalf. And I think, Chuck has been playing well, and he keeps peppering Olave with targets. And it's a beautiful matchup against the Jets. It's a good matchup for DK as well, but Olave has been pretty steady. I was worried about Olave. When they switched to Shuck and they traded Shaheed, I thought to myself, defenses are just going to key on him, and Shuck is an unknown. But Olave has been persevering and playing well, and Shuck has been playing well as well. Better than I was giving him credit for going into when they made the switch. I would go Olave. And finally, from this list, from these questions, where do I have the Chiefs this week? I mean, it's a good matchup, but they're out of it. They are out of the playoffs. They officially have nothing to play for. So, what is their motivation other than being prideful? They're playing for pride. The Kansas City Chiefs, who have won the division for 8 straight years or something crazy, are playing for pride. They absolutely could come out and do well in a good matchup, or they could end up rolling over. They have nothing to play for. They're more of a top 12 defense for me, as opposed to, if they were in it, if they were playing for something tomorrow, they'd be a top probably 4 or 5 play. Now I'm yeah, okay, they're maybe a top 12 option. I don't feel as strongly about them because they're not playing for anything. Again, I am generally speaking, and I know this doesn't always work out this way, but at this time of the year, I just in a vacuum, I prefer situations where guys are playing for something over situations where guys are not playing for anything because they're eliminated from the playoffs. Now, obviously, you've got contract incentives and all that stuff, and again, individual pride from the players, but, and it's not a one-size-fits-all, but generally speaking, I want to play guys in situations that are playing for something. And the Chiefs coming off of, 3 Super Bowls in 5 years or 4 years, whatever it is, they as a group of vets with high expectations may not necessarily care about a meaningless Week 16 game against the Titans. They're not like a young upstart team trying to prove themselves even though they're eliminated. That's not their situation, you know what I mean? Sport Dog, what's going on? Again, I see everybody's questions. I will get to them, but I got to get to the member questions first. That's a perk of being a member of the channel. If London is out, I would go. Actually, yeah, if London is out, if London is in, actually, London is in, Sport Dog. It's already been confirmed. He's going to play. And if it's half or full PPR, I would probably just play London. I would just play London of this group. I do like Michael Carter's spot tomorrow, but he's not proven. London is. Play your best players. London is one of your best players. Yeah, he may not play a full complement of snaps, but it's Drake London. I would play him. And he's already been ruled in for the game. He will be active. At least that is the overwhelming expectation. Of those names, just play him. Just play London. If he surprisingly, because it would be a surprise at this point, if he surprisingly was ruled out, then sure, play Michael Carter. But plan to play London. Let's see. One wide receiver, one flex in full PPR. McLaurin, Harvey, Coker, Reed, Estime, Carter, Worthy. Coker, not Carter. I think I said Coker Carter twice. I would play Harvey in the flex. He's getting the usage, and the Broncos are at home. They're coming off they've been up and down on offense this year, but they're coming off a good game, and it should be a good matchup against a high-scoring Jacksonville Jaguars offense. And I think can the Broncos clinch the AFC West? They can at least clinch a playoff berth this week, I'm pretty sure, if they haven't already. Actually, they've definitely clinched a playoff berth. They have 12 wins. They might be able to lock up the AFC West. I forget the clinch scenarios this week. But I would definitely plan to play Harvey at home, getting the yeoman's amount of work. And then it comes down to, in full PPR, if it was half PPR, I would actually tell you play Carter. But because it's full PPR and you need a wide receiver, your best guy here is Terry McLaurin. I know it's not been a vintage Terry season, but he is your best wide receiver of this group. Coker's not as enticing with Tet playing. Worthy, not a good year. Jaden Reed, volatile. You're playing Terry. You're playing Terry at wide receiver, and then I would play Harvey at the flex over these other names. I'll take the guy in again, scenario where the Broncos can, I think, clinch the AFC West, and Harvey's dominating the touches out of this backfield. Terry McLaurin at the wide receiver spot, Harvey in the flex. Need a running back in a flex. Dowdle, Pollard, Estime, or Wilson if Jacobs doesn't play. You also have Christian Watson. Watson, I believe, is expected to play tonight. He will be playing, probably through some pain. But who isn't at this time of year? To be fair, I would probably plan to play Dowdle. I know Dowdle is splitting work with Chuba, but he's had a good season. He is still their starting running back. And it's a good matchup against Tampa Bay. So I'm going back to the well with Dowdle. And then between Pollard, Estime, I don't want to play Wilson. To me, it comes down to, I think, Pollard or Watson. Estime's not in a bad spot, but we're talking about a third-string running back. Pollard against Kansas City is interesting, and I think that's my floor play. Watson, I would play tonight in the flex if you think you need to be aggressive. If you need upside, you need to swing for the fences, you need to swing for a big play, then Christian Watson. But if you think you like your spot on paper, if you like your team overall against your opponent, you like your matchups, you feel like you're a favorite, you feel like you're in a good spot, I would play Pollard in the flex as a floor play, and I would play Dowdle no matter what. Dowdle at running back, Pollard in the flex for a floor play, Watson tonight in the flex if you need to be aggressive and swing for the fences. And then Bowers, Loveland, or what? Bowers. I like Loveland today, and I know the matchup is bad, but Bowers is one of the best tight ends in football. You have to play Bowers. I'm not I'm not moving off of Bowers. Trey McBride, George Kittle, end of list, are the number of tight ends I would rank ahead of Brock Bowers this week. I know the matchup sucks. I know the Raiders' offense sucks. Brock Bowers doesn't suck. Brock Bowers is awesome. You got to ride with him. You have to. You have to. And if it's start 2, then Bowers and Loveland. But if it's start 1, Bowers. You have to. Let's see. You'll play Emmanuel Wilson if Jacobs is out. You'll play Gainwell if Jacobs is in. I might play Gainwell regardless. I might play Gainwell even if Jacobs is out. I think Gainwell's having a nice season. He now leads the Steelers in receptions. It is a tough matchup by the numbers against Detroit, but Gainwell is a part of their passing offense, their passing attack, and how they want to move the ball through the air as far as their game plan, talking about Pittsburgh. I mean, I think Gainwell, especially if it's full PPR. If it's standard scoring, okay, fine. You can play Emmanuel Wilson if Jacobs is out. But if it's half, and certainly if it's full PPR, I think I would play Gainwell regardless. And I would probably play Gainwell over all of those other names as well. Gainwell is a PPR machine right now. I like Terry. I like Devontae. Terry's been good since his, I know the start of the season wasn't great, but while healthy, he's been solid. Devontae's been up and down, but I do like the matchup today. Warren, I don't like as much. Gainwell's a little bit more of the pass catcher, and I'm not playing Debo over Terry, so I don't like Debo more than him. I would probably play Gainwell regardless, especially in full PPR. Full PPR, you could argue Terry a little bit more, but Gainwell's been getting a ton of volume as a pass catcher. I might just play him no matter what. I got the member questions. Full PPR, Jaden Reed, Khalil Shakir, Brian Thomas, David Montgomery. Reed gets the Bears tonight. Shakir, brutal matchup tomorrow against the Browns, but Josh Allen is Superman, so mitigates that a little bit. Montgomery in a reduced role at home against Pittsburgh, but they are touchdown favorites, so that makes him a little bit more volatile or viable. Brian Thomas is probably going to see Patrick Surtain tomorrow, so I don't love that. And Jaden Reed, in his kind of up and down role with Green Bay. I don't love some of these matchups. I think that's in full PPR. I think it's between Shakir and Jaden Reed. And so it comes down to this. Shakir is a full PPR viable floor with a little bit of upside, again, because Josh Allen is his quarterback. Though it's a bad matchup and Shakir is up and down. But he would be the floor play. I think if you need to shoot for the fence, swing for the fences, go for some upside, that's Jaden Reed. Now, the Bears are an opportunistic defense. They're not the Browns have a better defense, but the Bears, I'm pretty sure, lead the league in turnovers forced. So they are certainly an opportunistic one. But that means they could be susceptible to big plays as well. Reed would be your upside play. Shakir is your floor play. And I would choose between one of those two. Not Brian Thomas, who's going to see shadow coverage in all likelihood from Surtain. And Montgomery, his role is just reduced this year with Jahmyr Gibbs going full nuclear. Shakir floor, Reed ceiling. And then between Purdy, Mayfield, and Stroud, Purdy. And it's not crazy. Purdy's playing well right now. He's got a healthy Christian McCaffrey. He's got a healthy George Kittle. And he's got a healthy Jawan Jennings. It'd be great if he had a healthy Ricky Pearsall, but he doesn't. Purdy, and he's playing well. He's had a couple of good performances back to back. And their bye week was recently, so it's probably fair to say the 49ers are still decently fresh. And it's a primetime game. And the 49ers, I don't know how many people realize this, the 49ers, they're a long shot, but they still have an outside chance to win the division. They can still win the NFC West after LA lost on Thursday night. So they're playing for, they have something meaningful to play for, and they're a good team. Houston may end up having, they can just run the ball a ton against a bad Raiders team, and Stroud does not put up a ton of QB1 performances dating back to last season. Mayfield is better with Mike Evans back, and Chris Godwin is healthy, and he has his full supporting cast, but it hasn't been a great performance recently for Mayfield. I'll take Purdy. I'll take Purdy over Baker, and definitely over Stroud. Yeah, give me Purdy. Real quick from Sport Dog. No, let's see. I would play Carter over Aaron Jones. It's close. But I trust the Cardinals. Obviously, the Cardinals stink, but their offense is good enough to move the ball. I know the Vikings had a good performance on Monday night last week, but they have some work to do to give us some confidence that they are an offense that we can trust. I will take Michael Carter in a great matchup against Atlanta, attached to a Cardinals offense that is moving the ball pretty successfully. In a lot of times in garbage time, over Aaron Jones, who I love, but he's older at this point. It's a good matchup, but I'll take Carter slightly. It's close. Gainwell, Carter, McCaffrey. I think that's what I would do, Sport Dog. All right, let me get back up to where I left off. Herbert half-hand. That's when did Justin Herbert join Westeros? But I like it. Herbert half-hand against the Cowboys, or Caleb against Green Bay. I know Justin Herbert is volatile with the hand, but it's that matchup. It's that matchup against the Cowboys that I want to fire up everybody against Dallas, and Herbert half-hand, that's the guy I want to play against Dallas. I know his hand is I know he's dealing with the cast on his left hand, but that's how susceptible the Cowboys are. I want to play a one-handed quarterback against them and get the fantasy points that they will give up. Herbert half-hand, son of Herbert quarter toe. I mean, yeah, I'm playing Herbert. I like the spot that Caleb is in tonight, but no Odunze, no Burden. That knocks him down from top 7 option to maybe top 12 option. I'm playing Herbert. Yeah, and everybody going against Puka. It's so to that point, swing for the fences. I think Herbert is the floor and the ceiling play because of how good the matchup is. I think. Caleb's in a decent spot tonight. No Micah Parsons for the Packers, but the ceiling might ultimately not be there anyway without Odunze and without Burden. So I'll take Herbert. Yeah, everybody who's playing against Puka right now is hoping for some big performances from some of their guys to kind of counter that. We'll see what happens. One wide receiver, one running back, and one flex. Dowdle, Gainwell, Woody, Michael Wilson, and it's full PPR. Woody if he plays, because he gets the Raiders. He gets the Raiders. So that's a great matchup. It's as good as it gets. Woody would be my running back. and it's full PPR. I think I want to play Jacoby Myers coming off of they just signed him to a contract extension. That's like a little, intangible X factor that I kind of like for Jacoby. And he should avoid Patrick Surtain tomorrow. Surtain should draw the assignment of Brian Thomas. Surtain doesn't really go in the slot. Myers is the slot receiver. And he's been awesome. And he just got the contract. In full PPR, I think I would play Myers as your wide receiver. And then I would play Woody Marks and Rico. And if Woody is out, I would go from Woody to Gainwell. Yep. Myers at wide receiver. Woody Marks if he plays. Rico, and then Gainwell if Woody is out. That's where I'm going. Monangai or Estime. This one I would actually probably go Estime. Monangai has forced a split backfield with DeAndre Swift, and he's doing well with it, but Estime is expected to start tomorrow. And that is from the Twitter account, X account of Nick Underhill, who covers the team, who covers the Saints. And it's a great matchup against the Jets. Estime. Monangai is a decent option. I think Monangai is a decent flex option. I think Estime is a high-end flex option, if that makes sense. I would go Estime. He's expected to get most of the opportunities out of the Saints backfield. And I got this question. Myers, Woody, Dowdle, Gainwell if Woody is out. Full PPR, Carter, Diggs, or Terry? Carter, great. I mean, it's a great matchup against the Falcons. And he's expected to start for Arizona. No Bam Knight. Yes, DeMercado could mix in, but Carter got most of the opportunities last week. Could be riding the hot hand approach, and in a great matchup against Atlanta, I'll take Carter. I don't hate Terry for full PPR, but I'll take the good matchup for Carter. And then Purdy or McCarthy. McCarthy balled out against the Cowboys that last week, but so does everybody. It's been an up-and-down season for McCarthy. He has more to prove. I'll take Purdy. I'll take Purdy in prime time. Playing well right now. Great complement of weapons. McCarthy does too, but he's not doing anything with it yet. Not consistently anyway. I'll take Purdy. I'll take Purdy over McCarthy. And then I know it sounds crazy, but if you are in desperation mode for a defense this week, I think I would take a shot on the Cincinnati Bengals. They are playing a 7th-round rookie making his first career start. I know Cincinnati is not a good defense, but this is a situation where you're just playing the odds. And the odds are a rookie quarterback, 7th-round rookie making his first career start, is going to take his lumps. There's going to be ups and downs, and you're banking on more downs than ups. I would take Cincinnati. I would take Cincinnati. Need a FanDuel lineup. I don't know what I haven't looked at like DFS prices for this week, but I mean, some decent values that I'm off the top of my head, like Amari and Hampton might be cheap. Lab McConkey might be cheap. Great matchup against Dallas. Estime might be a solid cheap option. Just thinking off the top of my head, like what other like deep punts are like that you're looking for value. Marquise Brown, No Rashee Rice. He's off the injury report. Like, I'm just thinking of like some decent options. Jawar Jordan, if Woody Marks is out, you could maybe take a shot on Tyler Algier. Great matchup against the Cardinals. Some names like that for some values, just off the top of my head. Dart or Shuck? Dart. I mean, he's been doing it especially as a runner all season long. He's a little reckless. His injury risk is there for sure with the concussions and his kind of reckless style of running, but Dart has been money this year when he has suited up and played a start to finish game, and especially so at home. It's not a great matchup on paper, but he has done well in bad matchups this year, and his floor as a runner is super tantalizing. I'm taking Dart over Shuck. Shuck's been playing well. Dart is the fantasy start for me. I mean, his ceiling has been, top 3 QB a lot of weeks that he's played. I'm going Dart and his upside as a runner. Would I play the Chiefs or the 49ers, D? The 49ers. 1, they're playing for something. 2, they're playing Phillip Rivers. And I know it's a home game for the Colts, and Jonathan Taylor is scary. I don't care. It's a different offense. It's a different offense now. This is not the same Colts offense that was leading the league in so many different categories at the midway point of the season. Daniel Jones is gone. Their ability to push the ball downfield is gone. Like, Alec Pierce is not a playable player right now. Michael Pittman, you're hoping for like a low floor as a wide receiver 4. Josh Downs is actually like sort of viable because of all the underneath stuff now. Tyler Warren is viable, but like, again, the threat of chunk plays and big plays is so severely reduced. It's a 44-year-old Phillip Rivers. The Niners, and they're playing for something. The Chiefs aren't. Yes, the Chiefs have the better matchup, but the Chiefs are eliminated from the playoffs. I just don't love that. Don't love it. Marv, Sutton, Nico, Jennings, Jaden Reed. Pick 2. Sutton and Nico Collins. Book it. Like, just send it. You don't even think twice. Nico, I know there's a concern. Like, the Texans might just run the ball in the second half. Yeah, fine. But Nico could be the one he's the baller stud wide receiver 1 to make the plays and get the scores in the first half to put this game out of reach. Like, Nico for sure. And then I'll take Sutton. I mean, the Jags' defense is much improved, but they're still leaky in the secondary. The Broncos' offense has been better at home. They played well last week. Like, I'm going with Sutton. Good matchup against Jacksonville's secondary, and they're your 2 best players of this group. Nico and Sutton are your 2 best players. It's the fantasy playoffs. It's win or go home. Play your best players. That's Nico and Sutton. Do I think T plays? It's 50-50. The Bengals are eliminated from the playoffs, and T has suffered multiple concussions this year. The smart thing would probably be to shut him down. But I don't know that that's going to happen. If Higgins wants to play and the Bengals decide, well, if he wants to play, we won't say no, then sure, he could suit up. It's truly 50-50. This is not a cut and dry scenario. Well, it probably should be cut and dry. Multiple concussions suffered for a team that's out of it. You probably should rest him for the long-term interests of the player. But I'm not the one making the decision. Do we want to consider upside for your flex? Sure, but like a 40% chance is that's not a significant enough underdog for me, underdog to panic. We have to see what happens. Gainwell or Devontae Smith? I mean, sure. I mean, you do have plenty of big upside plays like McCaffrey, like Nico, like Saquon. So, If it's full PPR and you want to take a shot with Devontae Smith, sure, fine. But I don't. If it's half PPR or standard scoring, I would be fine playing Gainwell. If you want to play Devontae in full PPR, though, that's fine. ETN, Jacobs, or Wilson. Isn't Bishal Tootin is out, right? He's not playing. He's out with a finger. I think he had didn't he tear a ligament in his finger or something? He may need finger surgery, something like that. I mean, I would probably play ETN. I would probably play ETN. Even if Jacobs is active, I would play ETN. Jacobs, it sounds like Jacobs is pretty banged up. It sounds like he's hurting pretty good right now. And so if you have Travis Etienne without Bishal Tootin, I know the matchup isn't good against Denver, but Etienne is going to see the volume, and he's not, as far as I can tell, I didn't see him on the injury report. He's not on the injury report. I think Jacobs is in worse shape physically right now than Etienne is with the injury, with the knee that he's nursing. So Etienne. Chiefs or Bucks defense. This is where I would go Kansas City just because they're better. Yes, Tampa is playing for something, but they have not been playing well recently, and they're on the road. They have a leaky run defense against an offense that wants to run the ball. I don't love the spot for Tampa, and they just haven't been playing well. This question is an example of just, on paper, the Chiefs are just a more talented defense. And it's a good enough matchup where, while I don't love the spot that they're in, being eliminated from the playoffs, they are a more talented team, and the matchup is good enough where I'll say just play the Chiefs. We're picking 3 from this group. Pickens, Tet, Thomas, Ekbuka, Monangai, or Emmanuel Wilson if Jacobs sits. You have to play Pickens. I know it's been kind of blah recently, but he's had too good of a season to sit. You have to play Pickens. I don't like Brian Thomas against Patrick Surtain. I don't love Ekbuka because the numbers just haven't been there recently. Okay. I am playing Pickens. I am playing Tet and hoping for the best. At least the matchup is decent against the Bucks. And then if Jacobs is out, I would put Emmanuel Wilson in over those other 3 names, Thomas, Ekbuka, and Monangai. Because at least he would get most of the work. If Jacobs is active, I would play Monangai. I do not like Brian Thomas's matchup against Surtain. He has not been good this year. He's been a little bit better recently, but he has had such a bad season that when he's in as bad of a matchup as it gets against Surtain, it's enough for me to say, yup, put Brian Thomas on the bench. Pickens, Tet, Wilson if Jacobs is out, Monangai if Wilson is active. Or excuse me, if Jacobs is active. Tet, Moore, or Brian Thomas. I think Moore. I trust the quarterback play. I trust the quarterback play for Chicago more than I trust the quarterback play for Carolina. I know Caleb has had his lumps, but he's better than Bryce Young. No Rome Odunze, no Luther Burden. DJ Moore is going to get all the work he can handle. Tet has wide receiver 1 upside, but he has wide receiver 4 downside. The Panthers don't always throw the ball a ton. And this is a matchup on paper where it looks like they should have success running the ball. So if they keep going back to the run, that's going to limit the volume. And Bryce Young, week to week, is not the easiest quarterback to trust. I'll take DJ Moore with no Rome Odunze and no Luther Burden. And again, I don't want to play Brian Thomas tomorrow. He's going to see Patrick Surtain. It's not like he's had a great season or even a good season, and you like deal with it with a good player against a great player. This is a player who has had a terrible season in the worst possible matchup. I do not want to play Brian Thomas tomorrow. Jacoby Myers, fine. Brian Thomas against Surtain, no thank you. And then Diggs, Coker, or Monangai in full PPR. I kind of like Diggs. I know that he's been quiet recently, but look at the situations. Last week, okay, Buffalo, not great. Not great. Division rival, revenge game. You would have thought maybe he would have had a better game. He didn't. The week before that was their bye week. And the week before that, they played the Giants and they smoked them, right? Or they didn't. I don't know that they smoked them, but I think they comfortably had a lead most of that game. So they didn't really need to utilize Diggs. And then the week before that, they played the Bengals, and they took advantage of the fact that the Patriots took advantage of the fact that Cincinnati can't stop opposing tight ends. And they just funneled a bunch of opportunities to Hunter Henry. I can't even. Who's their tight end two? Austin Hooper, I think. He got decent work. That's just a testament to how horrible Cincinnati is against tight ends. I think that it's just been a strain of weird performance, of weird weeks for Diggs recently where he hasn't had to have done that much. I think that script changes on Sunday night in prime time against the Ravens, where it's a good matchup on the road against Lamar. This is a spot where I can see the Patriots needing Stephon Diggs. I kind of like Diggs, especially in full PPR. That eliminates Monangai for me. It's between the receivers. And I'll take Diggs, who I know is older, but he's got the track record and the Patriots offense is good, over Coker, who has been good recently himself. But I don't trust Bryce Young week to week. I trust Drake May week to week. I don't trust Bryce Young week to week. And Tet is off the injury report. So that drops Coker for me a little bit. Diggs. I would play Diggs. I think we're going to get a better performance from Diggs this week than we have in recent weeks. And in prime time, I feel even better about that. You're worried about Marks? That's fair, but if he's active, it's such a good matchup. The Raiders are giving up crazy production to opposing running backs. And the Texans are 2 touchdown favorites against them tomorrow. If Woody's active, I think you have to play him. And I know Goddard is in a solid spot today. I think Woody is worth holding out and waiting for. I don't want to tell you, how to think. So if you're genuinely if you're not convinced, and if you're like, I'm still worried about Woody, worried about the injury, etc., fine. You can play Goddard. He should be decent. But I think Woody is worth waiting for, because if he's active and he gets through that game, it is one of the best matchups on paper you could ask for against the Raiders. I think Woody's worth hanging on for. Am I sure about more? I mean, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not sure about anybody, right? We can chart and project and predict all we want, and at the end of the day, none of us know what's going to happen. It's just looking at the situation right now. I know he didn't do well 2 weeks ago. I'm not worried about 2 weeks ago. I'm worried about what the situation looks like now. And what the situation looks like now is there's no Rome Odunze, and I don't think Odunze played in that other game. But on top of that, there's no Luther Burden. The targets have to go somewhere. And that game 2 weeks ago, the Packers had Micah Parsons. They don't have Micah Parsons anymore. So, like, the dynamic has changed. The situation has changed. If you're not confident in DJ Moore, that's fine. You can play Tet. Again, it's your team. And this, I'd say this to everybody, or as many people where I feel like it matters to bring it up. This is your team. This is your lineup. If what I'm saying is not jiving with your gut or what you're thinking or feeling, then go with what you believe in. And I mean that like I'm not like offended if you disagree with my thoughts. Like, that's fine. That's part of the discourse here. My job is not to convince you to agree with me. My job is to give you my thoughts on your situation. And if you rock with what I'm saying, great. If you don't, at least I'm hopefully giving you some clarity on like where my thoughts are. So if you want to play, a Tet over a DJ Moore, go for it. But the circumstances are different this time around than they were a couple weeks ago. Therefore, I think I like Moore a little bit more. So, there you go. E111, speaking of Brian Thomas. Yeah, man, I don't want to play. I do not want to play Brian Thomas. I really don't. I worry. He has not been good this year on the whole, and he's gonna see Surtain. You could also play Keenan Allen, whose role has freaking plummeted. It's a great matchup against the Cowboys, but I don't know if I trust Keenan Allen. Because he's not a full-time player for them. Man. I don't expect much from Brian Thomas, but maybe of those options, that's where I go. If it was full PPR, I may tell you to play Shakir, but if it's half PPR, Shakir's not as enticing. And I guess to that point, Keenan Allen's not as enticing either in half PPR. I guess Brian Thomas. But I don't have a strong feeling on that. I don't have a confident feeling on him. Man, I might say Shakir, and I don't like Shakir this week, but I really don't like Brian Thomas this week. I might go Shakir and go with the floor, and just hope that you can get some volume out of him. I might go Shakir. Yeah. I'll take. It's very, very close. It's very, very close. I'll take Shakir over Brian Thomas. Yeah. Okay. Caleb or Shuck? I like the spot that Caleb is in tonight. I do. Shuck, though, is getting the Jets at home. And he's not down all of his wide receivers. I like the spot that Caleb is in tonight, but I'll take Shuck. I'll take Shuck. He's been playing pretty well. It's a great matchup against the Jets. Caleb's down to Dunze and Burden. Yeah, I'll take Shuck. I'll take Shuck. Jaden Reed or versus Coker. I mean, that's fine. I think that's okay if you want to just plan to wait on Higgins and then play Coker and not worry about Jaden Reed. That's fine with me. Jaden Reed might be a little bit more enticing if Christian Watson is less than 100%, but I think Watson's expected to play. So, Reed remains volatile. He could go off. He could do nothing. It's kind of been his MO. Very all-or-nothing player. And that's tough to trust in the fantasy playoffs. Yeah, wait on Higgins and plan to play Coker if Higgins is out. I think that's totally fine. We are at the end of the chat, so I can stick around for a little bit longer just in case there are anybody else pops in with anything, or if you want any clarity on something you already asked. There's no wait for questions right now, but I guess really quickly, appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out today. Wanted to make sure that I got a live in before the games, and with the games playing today, had to up the schedule a little bit. Debo, Franklin, Butte, Ramondre. Debo, just because I guess he could see more opportunities without Zach Ertz. And I imagine Washington will be throwing if they're trailing against the Eagles, which I feel like is a safe bet. And then Ramondre against Baltimore is probably the floor play. Butte would be the upside play. Franklin, I don't trust Troy Franklin. Pat Bryant's going to play. I would play Debo and Ramondre. Yeah. Kayshawn would be like if you really need to swing for the fences and be aggressive, he can definitely make a big play. But he's volatile. Ramondre should at least get some level of a floor going, and I'll take Debo with no Ertz. Yeah, I would play Fannin over Warren. I think Warren will be okay on Monday night, but it's devolved into such a sad state of affairs, such a sad situation. Fannin's not in a good matchup, but Shedeur Sanders peppers him with targets, and Njoku is out. Like, he may see another 10, 12 targets, and he should be able to come through on a little bit of volume. And he's been good this year. Fannon's been good this year. Warren's been good this year too, but he's been quiet recently, and the switch to a 44-year-old Phillip Rivers is a downgrade no matter how you slice it. Yeah, I'll take Fannin over Warren. Yes. Let's see. Special shout out to the members that I saw today coming in and hanging out. I saw Greg. I saw Manny. I saw Jake. I saw Kevin. I saw Evan. I saw Fortune. Who else popped in? I saw E111. I saw Sport Dog. And I think those are all of the members that I saw today. Appreciate the members, the ones who supporting the channel all season long, and in some cases, multiple years long. Appreciate you guys. And everybody for coming in and hanging out today, talking shop. If you need anything else before the weekend slate of games, you can find me in Discord. I will be available to answer questions over there. Second link in the description of this live stream. I can answer questions leading up to kickoff if you miss me here. But if there are any questions that pop in, there's currently no wait for questions. Let's see. One running back, two flex: Dowdle, Carter, Brees Hall, Jalen Waddle, Addison. Definitely those first two running backs. Dowdle as the starter, the clear-cut starter, over Chuba. At least that's how it went last week. Carter, expected to start for Arizona in a great matchup against Atlanta. And then Addison, I'm not there yet. McCarthy needs to show some more consistency. Waddle with the QB change is definitely volatile. I hate the spot that Brees Hall is in, but I guess he will get some volume. And we're not relying on, at least the third string rookie quarterback can just turn around and hand the ball off to him, as opposed to a seventh round rookie quarterback having to somehow successfully throw the ball to Jalen Waddle. That's probably a slightly taller task on a play-to-play basis. I'll take those three running backs. I'll take Dowdle, Carter, and Brees Hall. I know Brees is tougher to trust, but just hope he can come through with some volume. Yep. I'll play those three running backs. And you have a slight lead, so take the volume of the running backs and hope for some high floors. Yep. Dowdle, Carter, Hall. What's going on, Iron? Good to see you. I don't know if you're staying up late for these games, but it is the playoffs. So I don't know how much rope you have in you over there, but hopefully you can catch at least some of it. You have May E111. No, that doesn't change my answer. I would still play Debo, and I would still play Ramondre. And Iron, I remember, you shared in Discord. Hey, if you have Puka, he set you on the road to be in the championship. If you're going against Puka, it's a mountain to climb, but there's still plenty of games left on the slate to turn things around. We'll see. I have Puka. I'm in 5 semifinal matchups. 1, no effect, but 2 of the matchups, I have Puka, and 2 of the matchups, I went against Puka. So my emotions were all over the place on Thursday night. I was like, I'm happy, but also like, I'm trying to hedge right now. But ultimately, we're trying to win a championship, and if Puka helps you do that, you're not going to complain if you're going against him in other places. 1 championship out of 3 or 4 shots is enough. It's obviously we want to get greedy. If you have the opportunity to win multiple titles in a season, you want that, but we'll settle for getting 1. And if you have Puka, he put you in a great spot to be playing for all the glory next week. So we'll see what happens. Just checking to see if there's any updates on injuries. There are no injuries. No new injury updates to report. Okay. Might be shutting this down here shortly in case anybody needs anything, you can, of course, continue to hit me in Discord. Yeah, Iron, I would play Goddard over Ferguson. Ferguson is kind of blah, kind of boring. Goddard has been the better option this year, especially when CeeDee and Pickens are both playing for the Cowboys. Ferguson's volume dips dramatically. Goddard, even with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, is a regular part of the Eagles' offense. He's heavily utilized in the red zone around the goal line. Goddard over Ferguson for sure. For sure. I feel good about that one. Yeah, you can play Goddard. That's fine. Yep. Thanks for stopping in, Iron. Good to see you. Appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out today. Congrats on being in the fantasy semifinals. That is no small accomplishment. Obviously, best of luck to everybody getting the results today and tomorrow that they're looking for. And hopefully that leads us to championship week. I will be live on Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It'll be a combination of waiver, if there's viable options to pick up, and then also there will be start-sit help with there being 3 games on Christmas Day, just 2 days after. So I will be streaming with not just waivers, but start-sit advice as well. Happy to take it next Tuesday, leading into championship week, leading into week 17. Best of luck to all of you getting to that point. Hopefully all matchups and situations go your way, and hopefully I see you all here next week. Be sure to stop by next week, whether you win or lose. Let's do a little, toast on the season in general. Hopefully it's been a mostly successful one for you. I obviously hope as many of you as possible are in championship week next week. But by all means, feel free to stop by all the same. Hopefully it's with a win. But before the season wraps up, just as an opportunity to hang one more time. But I think that'll do it for me tonight. Best of luck in your matchups. Congrats again on getting to the semifinals. And hopefully I see you all week 17 with a championship on the line. Thanks, everybody. Best of luck. Hit me in Discord if you need me. Second link in the description of this live stream.